Alright, here we go. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome back to my live stream. This is Jacob Cat 2024. We're going to talk about the Friday Night Smackdown. Hit that like button, leave a comment. Please subscribe to my channel. Let me know in the comment section below y'all want to see more. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all the support. Enjoy this video. Enjoy the Let's Play. Now, before I play Fortnite, I did want to talk about WWE first. I just want to let y'all know that now this is Smackdown, April 10, 2026. We got one more week left. Next week, Smackdown will be in Las Vegas, the go home show. Why will be the go home show? Yeah. Now Smackdown sucked. It was a terrible fucking show. It was god awful. I mean, it got worse. TKO really gave up more. Pat McAfee. How much work can McAfee make this? McAfee promo bomb again. Worse than last week. Ward Key made his debut. Man, this show sucked. This show was fucking awful. Monday Night Raw was acting a lot more better. But SmackDown, it just sucked. The build is shit.
You got 50 people voting on it, saying it's the worst SmackDown of all time. I mean, Pat McAfee is just playing these people like a fiddle, and I am so entertained by it. You know, people getting so upset. The people that think they're smart to the business are getting upset about this, and I'm loving it. Like, why do you care so much? WWE is going to be fine. Business is going to be fine, and you know, with WCW, it was depressing. It's a weird thing because you have Pat saying stuff, including a shot at CM Punk.
Alright, let's go into Fight for Pro Wrestling.
We have so much to talk about with this Pat McAfee promo. It was not good, and there's so much to talk about in general. I feel like I went into Tony Khan mode there, the way I just immediately started promoting. But we're gonna talk about it all. We got Royce Keys' debut. Listen, the only thing that was gonna make this episode better was hanging out with Cresta. So I am here to do that. Get in your super test. Get in your humper test. I'm late, but I'm. I'm joining from my phone. That's very generous of you, but we are gonna make it through, is what we're gonna do. We're making it work, and I have to tell you, Kate.
Is you know, trying
Here's
to push
really
or buying what Pat is selling.
If Pat should be the hype man.
Again, which is very interesting because now I wonder, is Randy Orton actually going to win the championship?
Now looking to Friday Night Smackdown, the god awful show, the boring show. Alright, let's see how the show started here. I think the show started with Rhea Ripley and Io Sky open the show. Io Sky demanded to face Jade Cargo tonight in the main event. We actually had a 7 with Jelly Roll, vowed to watch Cody Rhodes is back. Is that WrestleMania or that gonna be that's for tonight? I think it might have been for tonight, but it could be WrestleMania. We could see Jelly Roll play a role. Since Pat McAfee gonna be with Randy Orton. But anyway, yeah, the main event was Io Sky and Jade Cargo. Bayley versus Alexa Bliss. I think Bayley got the victory here. Map was alright, Matt. Pretty good, Matt. Drew McIntyre revealed the real Jacob Fatu. The build between them pretty good. Royce Key made his SmackDown debut. We haven't seen Royce Key on TV since the Royal Rumble. Came out to hardly a reaction. He caught Berto in his epic squat match. We'll see what Key does. There was a segment that he had with Solo Sikoa. They had some history, I guess, from was it NXT or the Samoa Dynasty? But they do have some history. Solo said, "Where you need, let me know." So they're planting seeds Hope he's not going to join the MFTs. I don't want to see that. But they're planning something there with him in solo. Let's see where that goes. Jelly Roll and Pat McAfee get into an intense argument here. We might see them play well in this main event with Cody and Randy. Drew McIntyre came out after Jacob Fatu had a pretty decent match with Tama Tonga. He beat Tama Tonga clean with the moonsault. McIntyre came up behind and attacked them. They brawled for a bit. McIntyre handcuffed Jacob Fatu to the ring post. Obviously building up that match. Yes. I think the word thing that I could not stand, I know a lot of fans can't stand it, and a lot of people in the IWC, this entire segment with Pat McAfee, Cody Rhodes, and Randy Orton, this entire thing lasted 20 minutes. It was 20 minutes of garbage. It was shit. Get off my TV. It would go away heat. Pat McAfee got go away heat. The fact they saying go home, Pat. I can't wait until, hopefully this is a one-off. Hopefully Pat McAfee is only going to be around once we get to WrestleMania, and then when Mania is over, then we can focus on the true storyline between Randy and Cody, because it doesn't seem like the storyline is even there. Pat McAfee ruining it. And Jelly Roll shouldn't be in it. I have a feeling that we may get Jelly Roll and Pat McAfee maybe on the next pay-per-view. We could look at a tag team match in a couple of weeks. I hope not, but it looks like they're leading to that. We are going to see Jelly Roll and Pat McAfee get involved in this main event. It's going to happen based on how they're setting it up. Anyway, we had another segment with Sami Zayn and Trick Williams. So Trick Williams and Lil Aussie confronted Sami Zayn. Now Trick Williams wrestled Matt Cardona. He beat Matt Cardona. Sami Zayn sent Lil Aussie with his Haluva kick outside the ring. Dan Hudson continues his winning streak. He beat Kit Wilson. He had a segment with R-Truth and Damian Priest. And then we saw Rhea Ripley takes out B-Fab and Michin backstage. And then in the main event, Jade Cargill beat Io Sky. So he had a chair. Rhea came out. They stared down. Very lame stare down. But, it's hyping up their match. One of the worst Smackdowns I've ever seen. This show sucked. This show was freaking garbage. Nothing was interesting on this show. Smackdown is hard to watch. There's no big storyline. Monday Night Raw is the better show. Monday Night Raw is actually a lot better this Monday. We might get a better show on Monday. I think with the Wayne's on the show.
I actually took my headphones off, and I just clocked out. I stopped listening. I actively stopped listening. And I was right to do that because
one of the worst Smackdowns ever. Because Smackdown sucked. Smackdown was just a terrible show, hard to watch. Jesus Christ, man! I can't wait till the WrestleMania. I can't wait to get to WrestleMania. WrestleMania can't come quick enough. It gets even worse. 3 hours of garbage. Nothing happened on this show. I have a bad feeling that we are going to see Pat McAfee and Jelly Roll in the match like after WrestleMania. Or we might look at a tag team match with these guys. That's what I'm afraid. I don't think it's going to be a one-off. Alright, you know what? Hold on. Alright, hold on. We're going to have a youth in here. There's not much people here to be talking about. Besides the joke.
This is pathetic of WWE at this point. Like,
anything like this before. Pat McAfee! He had a major announcement tonight. Big surprise for everybody, ladies and gentlemen. What exactly was that surprise? In oh so many words, WrestleMania sucks, the roster sucks, the champions suck, the show sucks. Thank you for letting me know, Pat, what we already know. I don't know how much of a rant I got in me, but we're going to the venue and on this Friday night, I want to know, what the fuck are you guys drinking? I'll see y'all there.
To incorporate that into the story and do what they did tonight was sheer desperation on the part of this company, the likes of which I cannot ever recall seeing as we build to a WrestleMania main event. Like, I've seen some bad WrestleMania builds before to a main event. Nothing like what we saw tonight. This was a truly historic night here on Smackdown. And I'm not even talking about the fact that, you know, we've talked about Smackdown just as the drizzling diarrhea shits right now. It is the worst show on television, certainly in terms of wrestling shows, the worst show on television. But just watching Pat McAfee out there in the middle of the ring doing his shtick, you know, which is what he's being told to do. This is not even a personal knock on Pat McAfee. The funny thing about all of this is that Pat McAfee, up until last week, was actually a beloved figure, by and large, by the WWE audience. You know, he had been there, he had been a commentator, he had been on television for a number of years, and I think by and large the audience, they respected him, they liked him, they could plug him in wherever they needed him, like they did last year with that match with Gunther, if they needed a baby face to plug in there. And so now they've taken someone who the fans previously liked, and they said, okay, we're going to make you a heel now, and now the fans are, you know, shitting all over him. Okay, fine, I guess, but he is now the focal point of WrestleMania this year. I want you to think about that. Pat McAfee is the focal point for WrestleMania. And this is where we are right now. Now, they had an opportunity after last week, because we know this is something that was run up the flagpole. This goes higher than WWE creative, right? We've heard all the stories over the past week. We know where this originates from. This goes beyond anybody in the writers' room. This goes beyond just the creative brain trust in WWE. But even still, Ari Emanuel himself, they had a week to look at the situation and abort mission. To abort the mission. You can still push ticket sales. You can still lower ticket prices and push ticket sales. You can do all of that stuff if you want to. But they had a week to look at this and go, okay, we see the reaction. We see that people have been shitting all over this all week long. And yes, last week's show apparently did better ratings than SmackDown has done in a very long time, which is not surprising because they had advertised coming into the show that we would get the reveal for the Randy Orton phone call angle. So, of course, nobody knew what the reveal was going to be, but they had built this up over a period of weeks. I'm not at all surprised to find out that last week was a highly rated episode of SmackDown. Even still, there was still time for them to abandon ship and salvage this WrestleMania main event that they had been building between Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. And it would have been as simple as Randy Orton coming out this week because the man is a viper, the man is a snake. And Pat McAfee's out there acting like a fool, and he gets dropped with an RKO. Never trust the snake. And we could all just forget that any of this shit ever happened. Now, of course, what that would have accomplished is it would have put Randy Orton in a position to be cheered even more than he was already being cheered. So they didn't do that. Instead, they doubled down on what we saw last week. They didn't read the room, and we ended up what we ended up with tonight. Pat McAfee coming into the show promised a massive surprise. Massive surprise. Now, of course, you should know better than to trust WWE when it comes to any sort of massive surprise or any sort of mystery angle that they may be doing in terms of what the payoff might be. And if you were left disappointed tonight, then you have nobody to blame for that but yourself. I don't know what the fuck you've been paying attention to. This is WWE that we're talking about here. What did you expect? Truly, what did you expect tonight? The big surprise to be. The Rock? Give me a break. But he promised a massive surprise for this show. Do you want to know what that surprise was? Would you like to know what the massive surprise was for SmackDown tonight? Pat McAfee, in the course of his promo, mentioned that Ram Trucks, the official sponsor of WrestleMania, he made a phone call to Ram Trucks, and he got them to agree to cover 25% of all night one only night one, WrestleMania tickets that are purchased from now up until the end of Raw this Monday night. And as soon as he said it, man, they couldn't get that fucking graphic up on that screen quick enough. 25% off. So, hey, the good news is that if you would like to go to WrestleMania, they did, in fact, drop ticket prices because now you've got 25% off for WrestleMania Saturday. Now through Monday. Get your tickets now. So for everybody who wants to be there live to witness Pat McAfee against Randy Orton against Cody Rhodes, I presume with Pat McAfee in his corner at ringside because he's in the graphic. In fact, the graphic for SmackDown tonight, I'm convinced they're trolling us at this point. The preview graphic for SmackDown tonight had Cody Rhodes and Pat McAfee, and Randy Orton was literally relegated to the background. He has been relegated, and if you watch the television show tonight, it actually makes all the sense in the world because Randy Orton was a background player tonight. He was in the background. We were 1 week away from WrestleMania. One half of the WrestleMania main event is now a bit player in the background. The real players here are Pat McAfee and Cody Rhodes. That is what this has become. But that was the big surprise tonight. The majority of the people who are watching this television show all over the country and all over the world are not even attending this fucking event. But boy, they made sure that you knew there were 25% off for all WrestleMania Night 1 tickets. Thanks, Ram. Ram it up your ass. That was the big surprise tonight for those of you who are wondering what it was. But that wasn't the only surprise that we got. Oh no, WWE was full of surprises tonight because Jelly Roll was back on the show. Now, the last time we saw Jelly Roll was a couple of weeks ago. He got dropped with an RKO by Randy Orton. And I told you last week, I said, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if the main event of Backlash turns out to be a tag team match with Randy Orton and Pat McAfee against Cody Rhodes and Jelly Roll. And now Dave Meltzer and The Observer this week had that very report that the current plan for Backlash on May 9th, which I believe is in Tampa, is to do a tag team match with Cody Rhodes and Jelly Roll against Randy Orton and Pat McAfee. The same Pat McAfee who reiterated tonight that if Randy Orton does not leave Las Vegas as the WWE champion, that he, being McAfee, will never again appear on wrestling television, which would seem to telegraph the outcome of the main event of Night 1. So, Jelly Roll was back on the show and he was angry. Oh, he was very angry. He was very angry. He wanted to get his hands on Randy Orton for what he did. He literally put his hands on Pat McAfee. They're building a feud between Jelly Roll and Pat McAfee. Yes. And in fact, at the end of the segment, with Pat McAfee and Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton finally popped up on the Tron about 5 hours after the fucking promo started. And we see Randy Orton, and he had, off camera, he had assaulted Jelly Roll. He had laid him out. Evidently, this is supposed to get heat. Because they're trying to get Randy Orton booed. Do you know what they accomplished tonight? Randy Orton, they accomplished one thing. Randy Orton is no longer getting cheered. At least he wasn't tonight in San Jose. So, good job, guys. But guess what? Randy Orton barely got any kind of reaction at all whatsoever. He went from getting overwhelming cheers and these great ovations when he would come out because the people wanted to see him win number 15 at WrestleMania. And he comes out tonight and he gets nothing. Nothing. He gets no reaction. You know who's getting all the heat right now? Pat McAfee is getting all the heat. And now what they've done is they've taken Randy Orton. He's coming out. The fans don't know what the fuck to think. So good job, guys. Good job. And when the segment was over, guess who walked away with the WWE Championship over his shoulder? Not Randy Orton, not Cody Rhodes, Pat McAfee. Because he is now officially the center of attention here on this show. He is the central focus of this story. I have nothing against Pat McAfee as a performer. He has been used in roles before, even the Gunther stuff, which I didn't mind. And Pat, look, he's done a good job with that stuff before. We've seen him play heel before, many years ago in NXT. If you remember, I think he was on one side, Adam Cole and the Undisputed Era were on the other side. We've seen him do this before. And I already saw some comments in the chat and in other places from people saying, oh, well, this is the reaction that Pat McAfee is talking about. He's talking about the IWC. He's getting everybody riled up. It's getting the reaction that it's desired to get. There are people who, I swear to God, they will defend every fucking thing this company does until their dying breath. They will take that WWE cock and they will shove it down their throat until they fucking gag and their dinner will be all over the fucking floor. They feel compelled to defend every move that this company makes. The point is not whether or not Pat McAfee goes out there and gets heat. Pat McAfee can go out there and get heat because he's annoying. Of course he can get heat. That's not the point. How do you not look at this and understand what the problem is, though? How do you defend that? Don't you realize the real problem here is that you have taken the focus away from the two performers in the match? They are no longer the central focus of this match at WrestleMania. What WWE has done in 1 week, okay, we now have 2 episodes of Smackdown. In 1 week, they have ruined one of the main events of WrestleMania. And it started last week when Pat McAfee went out there, and again, it's part of this angle, this brilliant idea that they came up with. Whether or not he was unscripted and they didn't know what he was going to say, the fact is they sent him out there. They sent him out there. And he cut a promo in an effort to hype up WrestleMania talking about how everything sucks. Now, it's one thing if I come on here every week and I tell you how everything sucks, because guess what? It fucking sucks. I'm not going to come on here and lie to you. I'm telling you like it is. You watch the same fucking show that I do. You can tell me I'm lying? You know everything out of my mouth is 100% true. Every time I come on here and talk about Smackdown, the worst television show right now going in all of wrestling, it's been this way for most of the year. It gets progressively worse week by week. I am not telling any lies when I talk about that, but it's one thing for me, because I'm totally divorced from all of this, right? I'm an independent party here. I have no connection to any of this shit. I can come on here and give my honest opinion. It's very different when you have somebody go on the show and as part of your main event angle, he goes out there and says everything sucks. The product sucks. The roster sucks. The champion sucks. The show isn't sold out. And we're here to save wrestling, right? Everything's the shits. But we're here to save wrestling. You don't see the issue with this? How does that sell tickets? But what they've done is they've taken a match that I was genuinely looking forward to, and I've been waiting a few years to see WWE finally do this match, and they have managed to ruin it. They have taken a match that I was genuinely looking forward to seeing at WrestleMania for a long time, and now I find myself in a position where I sit here and I'm like, I just can't wait for this shit to be over with. Can we just get this over with? Can we fast forward to the end of this so we can be done with this? That's where I am right now in this. For Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. Like, if you've listened to any of the shows I've done over the last couple of years, you've heard me talk about how, man, I can't believe they haven't done this match yet. I can't believe it. I can't wait for them to finally do a proper story between these two. There's so much history there to build on. And now I find myself in a situation a week out where it's like, I just can't wait for this shit to be over with. That's fucking sad. And I guarantee you I'm not the only one to feel that way. Now, if you're somebody who actually likes what's going on, or you think, oh man, this is adding a level of excitement to WrestleMania that wasn't there before, look, I'm not even shitting on you for that. Like whatever the fuck you want to like, but don't sit here and tell me that, oh, well, the IWC only hates it because they're getting worked, or the like, seriously, fuck off. Seriously. Fuck right off with that. You have to understand where these people who are watching this show are coming from when they talk about how awful and how counterproductive this angle is. By the way, besides all of that, let's put that all on the side here for a second. That segment tonight was fucking terrible. It was a fucking awful, awful fucking segment. Just objectively, bad television. So it sucks that my interest level in this match has plunged into the depths of hell. At least we still have Roman Reigns and CM Punk on night 2. That's honestly the best thing I can say about it. They didn't announce officially that Jelly Roll is going to be at WrestleMania in Cody's corner, but it stands to reason that more than likely Jelly Roll will be a part of this main event in some way. To which I say, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. I can't wait for all of this shit to be over with. This is so... Like, I'm watching this segment with him rolling down the window as McAfee is driving away out of the parking lot at the end of all this. And he's talking about marks, and he's talking about the IWC, and it's what I said last week. This is WCW 2000 levels of fucking Russo bullshit. And that's not a good thing. It is cringy, awful, try-hard television where they are trying to come off, I guess, as cool and inside, and they're taking an approach that is just all wrong and was completely unnecessary and has made this match something where I kind of look away and I shudder now when I see him come out there and he's doing his shtick and I don't even know how he's cutting these promos, the way he enunciates certain words. Well, we're talking about Randy Orton, like, I love those reports of Ari Emanuel apparently thinking that he could be the next Sylvester Stallone. You've got a lot of work to do, buddy, on that front. I've never seen Pat McAfee act in anything in my life, but if these promos that he has cut so far are any indication, this brother has a long way to go. It's going to be a fucking struggle for this guy if you think he's going to be your next big movie star. But we have to be subjected to this now on television every week because we get all these guys coming out here who are playing wrestler now. You know, they're coming out here. It's fantasy camp for them. WrestleMania main event this year is basically the fantasy camp main event. And it's sad. It's sad. It's pathetic. And to see them basically groveling on television, begging people to buy tickets to their show without realizing the reasons why people are not buying tickets to your show. People aren't buying tickets to your show because, A, yes, prices are elevated. And they're not willing to spend, or they can't spend that kind of money on tickets to a show. Probably of any kind, let alone WrestleMania, but also your show sucks. Right now, your show is fucking terrible. And so who's going to spend $400 or $500 on nosebleed seats to go to your fucking terrible show? Like, this is a terrible television program. They did nothing tonight on this show. Throughout all of the segments on this 3-hour program, even forgetting the Cody and Randy stuff, they did nothing on this show tonight that I can honestly think anybody who is not a pod person from another planet or a bot to get anybody legitimately excited, any more so than they may have already been for WrestleMania, which should be the objective of these shows a week out from WrestleMania, is to get people really hyped up and amped up. Man, you know what? I was kind of looking forward to WrestleMania, but now I can't wait for WrestleMania. The best thing I can say about it, I can't wait for the train wreck. That's your WrestleMania hype for this year. Our main event tonight was Jade Cargill against Io Sky. Io Sky at the moment has no match at WrestleMania. Now, maybe that'll change on Monday. There's a lot of balls that are hanging in the air right now. We don't know where they're going to land. Maybe she'll end up with a match at WrestleMania. We were saying that last week about Carmelo Hayes. Maybe he'll end up with a match at WrestleMania. The answer to that? No. He'll have to wait until next year. So we know that already. Io, we don't know, but this may have been her WrestleMania main event tonight. She went one-on-one with Jade, all in the furtherance of the story between Jade and Rhea. And Io went in there and she lost. She lost clean to the WWE Women's Champion. And then we had a standoff between Rhea and Jade, and I looked at my clock and I said, it's 11:03. Kind of odd. Smackdown getting an overrun. I don't want to watch the actual 3 hours of this show. Now they're going into an overrun. No. We don't need more of this. We need less of this. We don't need more Smackdown. Don't ever do that again. If Raw goes over, fine. But Smackdown, absolutely not. We don't need to see that again. No overruns necessary. best thing I could say about this show tonight, if I try to be nice, the best thing I could say about this show, we finally got the television debut of Royce Keys. I don't know why it took this long. We're a week out from WrestleMania. Now we get his debut on TV, but at least now he's on TV. And honestly, I think the reason we got him on TV this week is because he's winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal next week. Otherwise, I don't know why they didn't just wait another 2 weeks. We're a week out from WrestleMania. Why else would he debut tonight other than the fact, yes, they were in San Jose, which is basically his backyard. But I think he ought to be the winner in the Andre Battle Royal next week. Not that it means anything. Of course, it doesn't mean jack shit. But it would be a nice little feather in his cap. It would be something. It would be something. But yes, Carmelo Hayes was on the show tonight. He did not wrestle. He is not at WrestleMania. The Women's United States Championship will not be defended at WrestleMania. I don't know where Julia was. Tiffany Stratton, she went into WrestleMania last year, I believe, as the champion on Smackdown, as Io did on Raw. Right now, both women, they have no match at WrestleMania. And the tag team titles, as far as the men goes, Raw and Smackdown, don't even get me started. We know the World Tag Team Champions on Raw, they have a match at WrestleMania, the titles are not on the line. Nobody gives a shit because the tag team division is dead. On Smackdown, Damian Priest and R-Truth, they are the tag team champions. R-Truth was on the show tonight, as was Damian Priest. They were in the back. R-Truth was the spokesperson for ESPN, and he was doing his cringy little plug that they always have him do for all of the brain-damaged people apparently out there who have no idea how to use their phone and how to, use the ESPN app. Got R-Truth there to show you. But of course, the WWE Tag Team titles, they are not defended at WrestleMania this year either, because the Tag Team division is dead. They have 2 sets of men's Tag Team titles. Neither of them are being defended at WrestleMania. Neither of them should be defended at WrestleMania. I have no issue with that. The women's U.S. title, that's a shame, because all of the other singles titles are on the line, except that one. Let's talk about this show. This is your Friday Night Smackdown review. It is Friday, April 10th, 2026. I am the Solemn Monster. Do me a favor, like and subscribe. That would make me happy. Super chats are open as well. We have a bonus goal going on in the chat as far as that goes. But get them on in. You will see them popping up on your screen. Let me, we're not going there yet. Let me bring up the wheel. The Wheel o' Fun. See how many likes we need. Or be the booker tonight. And then we're going to get into this. Oh boy, just what I needed. That's what I needed. Thank you, Brandon. 350. We need 350 likes. I'm pretty sure that we have already slammed past this. We're 441. So, we're guaranteed at least one round of Be the Booker today. I'm done with this shit. I'm so done with this shit.
Hi. 2026, I'm your host, JD from New York, as always, coming to you live from the OTS venue inside my mother's basement. Thank you guys so very much for joining me on this Friday evening, wherever you may be. I know a lot of you guys are looking for me to rant the same way that I did last week. I don't think that's going to happen tonight, for one reason and one reason only. My voice is a little hoarse, so not gonna really push myself because I got a big week coming up and I don't want to blow my voice out. This show is not worth it. Pat McAfee's not worth it. This WrestleMania disaster is not worth it. It's unreal, man. It really is unreal. This show, it's almost like we're watching in real time. A company that doesn't give a shit anymore. They've given up. They've completely given up. Thrown in the towel. They don't care no more. WWE realized. This is my perception of what we saw tonight. WWE has realized. Triple H has realized. There's nothing that is there. And I'm talking specifically about the Pat McAfee, Cody Rhodes, and Randy Orton situation. There is nothing there that they can feasibly work with. There's nothing of substance. With him being added, there's nothing there that is going to work at all. And what you saw tonight, again, for a second week in a row, is basically WWE throwing their hands in the air, understanding and realizing that Ari Emanuel has fucked up a WWE Championship match between two guys that people have wanted to see for 4 years now, ever since Cody's been back in the WWE. A championship match in the main event of WrestleMania. He fucked it up so badly because he needs his boy involved. He needs Pat McAfee involved. Triple H has thrown his hands up in the air. The writing team have thrown their hands up in the air and said, 2 weeks to go before WrestleMania, we can't make sense of this. There's no way to make sense of this. So we're not going to even try. That's the perception that I got. That's what I saw, and that's what I heard from Pat McAfee and Cody Rhodes tonight. They teased and touted a major announcement. Pat McAfee has a big surprise for everybody. So like the ghouls online, they fall for everything. Oh, The Rock, he's gotta bring out The Rock. There's gonna be another man involved. We're gonna get another layer to the story. Chat. Pat McAfee went out there, and if you thought his promo from last week was bad, he delivered a promo that was on the same level, if not worse, this week. I don't know what he was trying to accomplish. Now, you, me, and everybody else knows from what we talked about last week, Pat McAfee went out there, shot from the hip, was not scripted. Nobody told him to go out there and say any of the things that he said. He wrote the promo himself. Ari Emanuel wants him in. Triple H is probably saying, well, I don't know how to make sense of this. How do we just add this guy to what I've built and to the history of Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton? Everything he said came from Pat McAfee. There's nothing in that promo that came from a WWE writer. And it was the same thing again this week. The same thing. Last week, Pat McAfee buried the main event of WrestleMania. Why isn't anybody watching WrestleMania? Why aren't ticket sales through the roof? Why are there tickets available? The reason why WrestleMania isn't sold out is because of Cody Rhodes. The shows are terrible. The ratings are down. Attendance is down because of Cody Rhodes. Last week was the lowest rated Smackdown in the history of Smackdown, according to Virgins on CageMatch.net. That was the episode where Pat McAfee cut his promo. But he came out last week talking about the week before, claiming that that was the worst rated episode in the history of SmackDown, and he blamed it on Cody Rhodes. CM Punk shows up on Monday. Triple H sends CM Punk out on Monday.
In the beginning, we had to didn't realize was how far we were willing to go.
In the scenes, something that you, me, and everybody else is not privy to. But we know, we see it, we feel it. Lower the ticket prices. Pat McAfee doesn't belong here. You got a receipt coming. Pat McAfee. CM Punk is angry. He's angry because he's one of us. He's angry because he had to listen to Pat McAfee bury all the hard work that Cody and CM Punk have done being the world champions. What did I say last week? Actually, what did I say on Raw? On Monday. You don't think that man is upset? You don't think CM Punk is upset? Pat McAfee went out on Friday and buried everything that Cody Rhodes did as WWE champion and buried WrestleMania. And the reason why WrestleMania isn't sold out is because of guys like Cody Rhodes. We need to save professional wrestling. From who? Again, I ask, from who? Cody Rhodes? Cody Rhodes and CM Punk are the two last of a dying breed. They are the living, breathing embodiment of pro wrestling. Save us from what? The only thing that we need saving from are the people that injected Pat McAfee onto our television screens. CM Punk is upset and has every right to be upset because Pat McAfee is burying all the hard work that everybody on this roster has done all year long. I'm not talking about creative. The creative is the creative. Blame Triple H for the fucking terrible 2 years of creative that we've got. I don't blame him for Pat McAfee showing up and blowing shit up. I also don't blame him for throwing his hands in the air and saying, fuck this shit. How can anybody work with what they're given here? I would throw my hands in the air as well and say, fuck it, this is what they want, this is what they're gonna get. And we're not gonna put any effort into it. Punk is upset because he's main eventing the whole fucking show. He's in the last match on the last night of WrestleMania 42 against Roman Reigns. If you think that Punk went out there and was told to go say these things in regards to Pat McAfee, you're a fool. Triple H sent CM Punk and Cody Rhodes out there as his two best soldiers in this war and told them to go out there and speak for everybody who can't stand this shit because nothing is going to happen to them, which is why Cody said, what are you going to do, fire me? That really worked out well for you guys last time. They're not going anywhere and nothing is going to happen. Triple H is frustrated. The writing team and management behind the scenes is frustrated. They are frustrated that people up at the top are now sticking their nose in their business and blowing up the whole fucking show. Triple H can't say anything because Triple H, even though he's the head of creative, has to sit there, twiddle his fucking thumbs, and bow down to his masters. What is he gonna say? What is he gonna say? He's not a McMahon. He's walking a very thin line. He's on a very short leash. Triple H says anything defiantly or out of context. He's already on the hot seat. Who do you think they're blaming for all the bullshit that you get? Him. He defiantly speaks up to somebody above his pay grade. What do you think they're going to be thinking? They're going to speed up the process of replacing him. Punk is upset, Cody's upset, we're upset, everybody's upset. Damian Priest was even interviewed today and said this shit sucks. That wasn't scripted. This shit sucks. There's legitimate internal frustration backstage from everybody. It doesn't make any sense. So what does WWE do? They got the marks, they got the fools online completely running around in circles. Oh, this is a civil war. Oh, we're going to get Vince McMahon back, and we're going to get The Rock back, and we're going to get this big civil war playing out. Yes, The Rock, who has 2 or 3 more movies to film this year alone. Yes, I'm going to put all my hopes and dreams of a great storyline in the lap of Dwayne Johnson, who's not gonna be there. And if he shows up at WrestleMania, he'll probably disappear for another 12 months. The same Dwayne Johnson that should have showed up at WrestleMania last year but opted not to because something happened behind the scenes that you and me and everybody else is not privy to. Yes, a civil war with Pat McAfee leading the charge. That same Pat McAfee who's got a very short time with us on TV. It can't be any shorter than it is now. I wish. He'll be gone by July, August for college football. Where's he going? He don't have much time with us. So what exactly are you going to get? What type of civil war are you guys fantasizing about? The civil war is happening behind the scenes. It's never going to play out on television the way that you are dreaming about. You can sit there and listen to Pat McAfee heel it up. You can sit there and listen to Pat McAfee talk about low ticket sales and Cody's a failure as a champion and call CM Punk fat. His major announcement tonight had nothing to do with WrestleMania in an on-air storyline capacity. His major announcement tonight was to come out there. The show sucks. The champions suck. WrestleMania sucks. He at one point told everybody if it wasn't for Randy Orton, nobody should watch this show, meaning WrestleMania. If it wasn't for Randy Orton, who he's in cahoots with, to save pro wrestling, Pat McAfee legitimately went out on live television during WrestleMania season, a week before WrestleMania, and told everybody if it wasn't for Randy Orton, don't bother watching WrestleMania. And you thought that it couldn't get worse than last week. Never in 1,000 lifetimes would I have thought someone on television is selling a WWE Championship match on the premise of the show sucks. If it wasn't for Randy, WrestleMania is virtually unwatchable. The champions suck. The fans suck. The ticket sales are low. But please come out and watch or Save Pro Wrestling. And my major announcement is 25% off all WrestleMania tickets on Saturday only. Now through Monday. Chad. Not only is WWE as desperate as any point in their history, not only is this storyline dog shit, but they actively have destroyed Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes, their main event for the WWE Championship. We are so far lost. We are so far gone from what we saw, it feels like forever ago. Randy brutalized Cody, left him bloodied, sitting in the middle of the ring, lusting over the WWE Championship. It legitimately seems like forever ago. WWE wasn't lighting the world on fire with this storyline, but it also didn't need Pat McAfee. It also didn't need a fucking mystery phone call either. Ari Emanuel and TKO, because of their decision, have ruined 20 years of history on screen together with these guys. Ari Emanuel has ruined the Night 1 main event for the WWE Championship, a match that fans have been fantasizing about because of the sheer backstory between Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. Ari Emanuel decided that what 50 years of in-ring action between these two guys combined, what it needs is Pat McAfee. And they're selling it to us on WrestleMania sucks, ticket sales are low, Cody and CM Punk are terrible champions, and we're going to save pro wrestling. And if it wasn't for Randy Orton WrestleMania, don't bother watching. They legitimately went from rich legacy and story between both Cody and Randy, and their history, and their families. The most simplest of stories to tell in the world of pro wrestling between two guys who are the best storytellers in their respective genre, in their respective sport. All of this wiped away for Pat McAfee and Jelly Roll. The WWE Championship match is now squarely centered around Pat McAfee and Jelly Roll. Instead of Randy dragging Brandy or Randy dragging Cody out to the stage tonight, he decided to drag Jelly Roll out there. As Jelly Roll is now a sympathetic figure who is the good angel on Cody Rhodes' shoulder. Who asked for this? What did I say last week, chat? Does anybody know? Does anybody know what I said? I want to see if people pick up on it. What did I tell you in regards to what we're going to get coming out of WrestleMania? Does anybody know? Class? Chat? Does anybody know what I said last week? I want to see if somebody in the chat picks up on what I said. We are now squarely centering the feud around Jelly Roll and Pat McAfee. Soap dishwater. Soap water backwash, yes. Tag team match at Backlash. Jelly Roll and Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton and Pat McAfee will be the main event of fucking Backlash. If you think this is a company that cares, if you think this is a company that is trying, bro, this is a company that knows it's dying. This is a company that knows it's dying. This is a company that knows the people in charge are actively killing the on-air product. This is what they've done. It's unfathomable to me. 20 years of history between Cody and Randy in their careers. 20 years of story. Jelly Roll and Pat McAfee needed to tell this story. They've moved so far away from the story that there's no story left. They've moved so far away from the story that the only story that remains is Ari Emanuel jerking off to his celebrity fucking friends. And Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes both have to suffer the consequences because of dumb, clueless, fucking absolutely selfish billionaires who don't know a fucking thing about what the fans want and what they don't want. Never in my wildest dreams would I have thought, coming into this WrestleMania season, coming out of the Royal Rumble, coming out of the Chamber, that we'd be here. I've been on record saying that WWE, the original plans for WrestleMania, if everything went WWE's way, would have been Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns and CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes. That was the original vision for main events 1 and 2 of WrestleMania. I've been on record saying that WWE, no matter how many injuries they've accumulated, the best plan B for WrestleMania main event night 1 and night 2 is what you see now. Randy, Cody, Punk, and Roman. Everything started off great. Never in my wildest dreams did I think coming out of the Chamber we would be right here, right now, talking about how Cody and Randy is fucking dead. It's dead. I have absolutely zero interest. Zero interest in what they're doing. And no, Pat McAfee's not a heel for the fucking unintelligent geeks online. Pat McAfee's a heel. He's getting the right reaction out of you. Pat's getting good heel heat. No, Pat McAfee is getting terrible heel heat. Pat McAfee's getting go-away heel heat. Pat McAfee's not playing a heel. Pat McAfee is just on television because Ari Emanuel wants him there. A heel is not going to go out there and work for a company claiming that the show that they're putting on in a week, which is the biggest wrestling show of the entire year, is failing in every single aspect. That's not what a heel does. How do you look at that and claim that Pat McAfee's a good heel? That's the type of heel that you want to boo. That's the type of heel you want to get behind and say, yeah, man, he's doing a good job. We know why the ticket sales are low. We know why the interest is low. We know why nobody is really excited about WrestleMania. None of it has to do with CM Punk and Cody Rhodes. All of it has to do with the people up top, above Triple H, above creative. Triple H is to blame, yes, but you just put the fucking cherry on top of the shit sundae. And you bringing to light all these different problems and blaming the people who should never be blamed for this is not what I call accurate storytelling. It's not what I call good storytelling. What you're doing is counterproductive. These people have put more interest on you buying a fucking ticket to a terrible product instead of putting the interest and effort into telling the stories. If you actively go out publicly and back this decision, you are just as bad, and you are the active problem. Just like Pat McAfee and Ari Emanuel. How can you sit there? How? And claim this is a good job by Pat McAfee, claiming all these bad things. Meanwhile, they put no effort into telling the actual story. The story is WrestleMania tickets aren't selling. Please buy a ticket. Come watch Randy beat Cody. You're putting an emphasis on selling the tickets and making sure people buy tickets now at a heavily discounted rate instead of selling the actual stories for the matches that we are going to see next weekend. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Smackdown is one of the worst shows. This is like, the last time I seen Smackdown this bad was Jinder Mahal era. You gotta go all the way back to 2017. I mean, that was fucking bad. But man, bro, we may have superseded that era of SmackDown with this era of SmackDown right now in 2026. Legitimately worse than 2017. Royce Keys made his debut tonight. He wrestled Humberto of Los Garza. The last time we saw Royce Keys in an active WWE ring was the Royal Rumble. They decided to wait until WWE descended upon San Jose to debut the hometown guy. Sounds like they just remembered that Royce Keys was actually an employee of the company. 1 week before WrestleMania, let's debut him on Friday Night SmackDown. Danhausen. He legitimately wrestled on the show tonight. He went one-on-one with Kit Wilson. Jade Cargill, she was in the main events. One of the worst shows of the year, headlined by Jade Cargill. I'm not shocked. She went one-on-one with Io Sky. The same Io Sky, chat, who, by the way, has no WrestleMania match. As long as we make room for Jelly Roll had 3 segments on tonight's show. But Io Sky is not good enough to make WrestleMania. You know who else isn't on WrestleMania? Carmelo Hayes. 1 week to go, I was hoping on a wing and a prayer, Carmelo Hayes would make the WrestleMania card. WWE clearly has no interest in putting Carmelo Hayes on the WrestleMania card. Another guy who absolutely deserves a spot, benched. Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu had a nice brawl tonight. Other than that, if you miss SmackDown, I swear to God, chat, you missed nothing. You missed nothing. We're going to go over the show tonight. I thank you guys for joining me here on this Friday night. It is your Friday Night SmackDown post-show for your April 10th, 2026. Again, I apologize for my voice. Don't know what happened. Don't know what happened. We were live on that Cody is fighting for something bigger than fighting for his own story. Like, who writes this shit? Genuinely. How does anybody take anything said here seriously? Cody, what you're fighting for is bigger than